Did you catch that blink and you'll miss it moment in House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 1? While the Battle of the Gullet was exploding on screen, something much quieter, and honestly far more important for the future of Westeros, was happening on a mysterious island near Harrenhal. A towering figure with antlers, a black goat that wasn't a goat, and a woman who calls herself a witch. These weren't random horror movie jump scares. Every single one of those images connects to some of the deepest lore in the entire George R.R. Martin universe. And once you understand what's really happening on that island, you'll see the entire dance of the dragons in a completely different way. So today we are breaking down what exactly are the Green Men, who is Alys Rivers, and what does the Black Goat mean? And why does all of this matter for the rest of Season 3? Let's get into it. Before we talk about the creatures, we need to talk about where this scene takes place, because the location is everything. Addam of Hull, Ulf the White, and Hugh Hammer, our 3 Dragonseeds, have been sent by Rhaenyra to wait near Harrenhal and ambush Aemond and Vhagar. Simple enough plan on paper. But the island they've been sent to camp on? Anything but ordinary. The island is called the Isle of Faces, and it sits at the center of the God's Eye, the largest lake in all of Westeros, located in the Riverlands right next to Harrenhal. The Isle of Faces is covered in weirwood trees, every single one of them carved with faces. And according to almost every piece of lore in this universe, it is one of the most sacred, haunted, and magically charged locations in the entire world. The longer Ulf, Hugh, and Addam wait there, the more unsettled they become. The island makes them uneasy even before anything supernatural happens. That unease is by design, because this place has a history that stretches back more than 10,000 years. To understand who the Green Men are, you need to go back to the very beginning of Westerosi history. Tens of thousands of years before dragons and Targaryens, the continent of Westeros was inhabited entirely by a race of magical non-human creatures known as the Children of the Forest. They carved faces into weirwood trees and worshipped the old gods through them. These weren't just decorations. The carved faces allowed the old gods to literally witness events in the world. Then came the first men, the first great migration of humans into Westeros. They started clearing land, building homes, and cutting down weirwood trees. And to the Children of the Forest, those trees were sacred. That sparked a generational war that went on for thousands of years. Humans versus the Children of the Forest. Eventually, after all that bloodshed, both sides came to the table. They signed a peace treaty, and crucially, they did it right here on the Isle of Faces, in the middle of the God's Eye. Faces were carved into every weirwood tree on the island, so that the old gods could witness the agreement. That peace deal is known as the Pact. Under the Pact, the first men got the open lands, the Children of the Forest kept the deep forests, and most importantly, no more weirwood trees would be cut down. But then came a second wave of human invaders, the Undulls. They brought their own religion, the Faith of the Seven, and a whole new war. This time, the Undulls fought both the first men and the Children of the Forest. The Undulls won, and they pushed the old gods and almost all the weirwood trees north of the Neck. That's why in Game of Thrones, only the North still keeps the old gods. The Starks, the Umbers, the Mormonts, all First Men descendants. The Undulls couldn't conquer the North, so the old religion survived there. But here's the interesting twist the show has added. There's a theory backed by Westeros' own Maesters that the Undulls didn't come to Westeros for religious reasons at all. They actually fled Essos because they were running from the Valyrian freehold, the Dragon Lords. So the Undulls didn't come to Westeros because their gods told them to. They came because they were scared of people like the Targaryens. Which makes it deeply ironic that the Targaryens later came to Westeros and conquered them anyway. Now, back to the Children of the Forest. What happened to them after the Undulls won? And what happened to the last surviving weirwood trees in the south? That's where the Green Men come in. After the pact between the First Men and the Children of the Forest, both sides came together to create an order called the Green Men. Their purpose, to guard the Isle of Faces and protect the weirwood trees that survive there, the last major concentration of weirwoods anywhere south of the Neck. The Green Men have been referenced in George R.R. Martin's books, in A Game of Thrones, A Storm of Swords, and the world-building text The World of Ice and Fire, but Martin has intentionally revealed very little about them. They're among the most mysterious figures in the entire lore. What little we know has always been disputed. For centuries, people in Westeros weren't even sure they still existed. The legends describe them in two very different ways. Nursery tales say the Green Men have green skin and actual antlers, supernatural creatures who are barely human. Maesters, being the skeptics that they are, believe they're simply priests who wear green robes and wooden headdresses. House of the Dragon has now settled that debate. The figure that Hugh and Addam see in Season 3, Episode 1 is clearly no costumed priest. He's tall, antlered, and appears to have goat-like legs. The show is treating the Green Men as genuinely supernatural beings, creatures, not humans. One popular fan theory about their origin is that the Green Men may be hybrids, created partly from humans and partly from the children of the forest as a living symbol of the pact between their peoples. The children of the forest themselves can live for thousands of years. In Game of Thrones, the character Leaf was over 11,000 years old, and the Green Men may be similarly ancient, which would explain why they don't appear entirely human. And here's what makes them so important to the larger story of Westeros. Those weirwood trees they're guarding connect directly to the old gods, to the three-eyed raven, and ultimately to the fight against the White Walkers. Every time we see the old gods influence events in this universe, Bran's green sight, the visions in the weirwood tree, the three-eyed raven, it flows through this network of ancient trees. The Green Men are the caretakers of that network in the south. This isn't the first time we've seen a Green Man in House of the Dragon. The first appearance was in the Season 2 finale, and it was easy to miss. Just before Daemon touched the weirwood tree at Harrenhal, there was a brief, dark glimpse of a Green Man watching from the shadows. It was almost as though the Green Man was there to make sure Daemon made contact with that tree. And what happened when Daemon touched it? He saw the future, Alys Rivers becoming the three-eyed raven, a White Walker leading an army of the dead, a landscape of fallen dragons, Daenerys hatching her eggs, and Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne. That vision completely changed Daemon. From that moment on, he committed himself to Rhaenyra's cause, because he understood what was at stake for the world. The Green Man was there as a guide, making sure the right person received that message at the right time. Now in Season 3, the Green Man appears again, this time in daylight, on the Isle of Faces itself, clearly visible to Addam and Hugh. He watches them briefly, then turns and disappears. This time, the appearance seems to be focused on Addam of Hull specifically, and that is not accidental. In George R.R. Martin's Fire and Blood, there's a moment later in the Dance of the Dragons where Addam of Hull flies to the Isle of Faces on his dragon Seasmoke specifically to seek counsel from the Green Men. The book, being written as a historical document with competing accounts, never tells us exactly what they discuss. But Season 3 appears to be setting up the show's version of that conversation and expanding the mystery of what the Green Men actually told him. Why Addam specifically? Because Addam is the only one of the 3 Dragonseeds who truly wants to honor his duty. Hugh and Ulf will eventually betray Rhaenyra, switching sides to the Greens at the First Battle of Tumbleton. Addam, on the other hand, will fight to the death for his queen. The Green Men seem to be watching to make sure the right person is positioned to play the right role. Now let's talk about the other supernatural event happening on the Isle of Faces, the Black Goat. Ulf wanders off alone to answer the call of nature, and he comes face to face with a black goat standing in the trees. He panics and runs back to camp. Here's the thing, that goat is Alys Rivers. Daemon saw the exact same black goat during his time wandering Harrenhal in Season 2. At the time, it seemed like part of his haunted hallucinations. Now we realize it's something else entirely. It appears to be a manifestation of Alys, or at the very least deeply connected to her presence. Shortly after the goat disappears and the Green Man is spotted, Alys herself walks out of the trees and speaks directly to the Dragonseeds. She tells them about the Battle of the Gullet. She calls herself a witch, and she urges them to go to Dragonstone immediately. Her intervention is crucial. Without that push, those 3 Dragonseeds might not have made it to the Battle of the Gullet at all. She essentially redirected the course of the war with a single appearance. Alys Rivers is one of the most fascinating and deliberately mysterious characters in all of Fire and Blood. Even the in-world historians can't agree on who she really is. Grand Maester Munkin, the most reliable source, says she was simply a healer and bastard daughter of Lord Lionel Strong, with a knowledge of medicinal potions. Septon Eustace calls her a woods witch and a slattern. Mushroom, the court jester, claims she's been around far longer than anyone realizes, that she may have actually served as a wet nurse to Lionel Strong himself, making her old enough to be the grandmother of his adult sons during the war. What all accounts agree on: Alys appears younger than her age, she has an uncanny knowledge of things she shouldn't know, and she has a powerful hold over the people around her. The show has confirmed she has genuine supernatural ability. According to Prince Aemond himself, Alys can see visions, in storm clouds, in pools of water, in flames. And in the show, her actress Gail Rankin has described the character as someone who can see the future and may have been alive for potentially 400 years. The black goat appearing before Alys shows up suggests she may have the ability to project her presence, or that her magic extends into the living world around her in ways we don't fully understand. It echoes the shape-shifting abilities connected to the children of the forest and the skin-changing powers seen in the broader lore. Here's where Alys becomes even more significant for the larger story. Alys is a bastard of House Strong, and the Strongs are a Rivellin's house, descendants of the first men. She carries the old blood, the blood tied to the old gods, the weirwood trees, the ancient magic of Westeros. Later in Season 3, she is going to have a relationship with Aemond Targaryen. Not Daemon, but Aemond, and she will become pregnant with his child. That is Targaryen blood mixing with First Men blood. Fire mixing with the magic of the old gods. In Daemon's case, his Targaryen blood mixed with the magic of the weirwood tree, through Alys's guidance, produced the Song of Ice and Fire vision. The show seems to be suggesting that Alys is deliberately seeking out Targaryen connections, acting as a conduit between the ancient magic of the old gods and the blood magic of the Dragon Lords. Is she doing this of her own will? Or is she guided by something or someone else? Let's pull back and look at the pattern here. Every time a green man appears, Alys Rivers appears immediately afterward. In Season 2, a green man is seen near Harrenhal. Alys guides Daemon to the weirwood tree for his vision. In Season 3, Episode 1, a green man appears on the Isle of Faces. Alys appears immediately and redirects the Dragonseeds toward the Battle of the Gullet. This is not a coincidence. The show appears to be suggesting that Alys Rivers and the Green Men are working together, or at minimum that Alys is operating within the same magical current as the Green Men, shaping events to ensure the story goes the way it's supposed to. Think of it like this. The Green Men are the guardians of the old gods' memory. The weirwood trees they protect are the eyes through which the old gods see the world. Through those trees, across thousands of years, these beings have watched Westeros and understood what it needs. They know about the threat from the north, the White Walkers. They know about the prophecy of the Song of Ice and Fire. And they're quietly, invisibly, moving pieces into place. Daemon needed to see that vision of the three-eyed raven and the White Walkers, so he would commit to Rhaenyra's cause, because Rhaenyra's descendants need to survive for the prophecy to be fulfilled. Addam of Hull needs to play his role. The Dragonseeds need to be at the Battle of the Gullet. The Green Men seem to be the unseen hands, ensuring none of these moments are missed. There's one more thread to pull here, and it's one of the most exciting theories about how Season 3 ends. At the climax of the Dance of the Dragons, Daemon and Aemond face each other in the sky above the God's Eye in what becomes known as the Battle above the God's Eye. Caraxes and Vhagar crash into the God's Eye Lake. Aemond's body is eventually recovered, but Daemon's body is never found. In Fire and Blood, it's noted that Caraxes, mortally wounded, somehow managed to crawl out of the lake and drag itself to the Isle of Faces. Daemon was never seen or heard from again after that moment. The legend says the Green Men took Daemon, and if they did, it would make perfect sense. Daemon Targaryen, the rogue prince, the warrior, the dragon rider, stepping entirely out of human history and becoming part of the ancient old god system. Not dying, but transforming into something older and greater. And here's why it matters for the larger story. Daemon Targaryen is the grandfather of Brynden Rivers. Brynden Rivers, also known as Bloodraven, is the three-eyed raven, the very figure in the cave north of the wall who trained Bran Stark in Game of Thrones. If Daemon becomes one of the Green Men, his transformation into something tied to the old gods directly prefigures his descendant doing the same thing centuries later, except Brynden goes further north and deeper into the magic. It's one unbroken chain of Targaryen blood merging with the ancient power of Westeros to make sure the Song of Ice and Fire reaches its conclusion. The Green Men are an ancient quasi-supernatural order, possibly 10,000 years old, created after the pact between the First Men and the Children of the Forest to guard the Isle of Faces and the last weirwood trees in the south. They are not human in the way we understand it. They are connected to the old gods. And House of the Dragon Season 3 is making them real in a way the books never quite did. Alys Rivers is a seer, possibly a skin changer or something even older, who operates in parallel with the Green Men, appearing at key moments to redirect Targaryens toward the roles they're meant to play in the grand prophecy of the Song of Ice and Fire. The Black Goat is her calling card, a signal that she is watching and that something important is about to happen. And the Isle of Faces is the magical heart of all of it, the place where the ancient pact was made, where the old gods watch, and where the deepest magic in Westeros still lives. Season 3 is not just a war for the Iron Throne. It is a story being shaped by forces far older than any Targaryen. The Green Men are making sure it ends the way it's supposed to. Let me know in the comments. Do you think Daemon survives and becomes a Green Man? And what do you think Addam of Hull learns when he meets them later this season? Drop your theories below. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We go this deep every single week. And until next time, peace.